Hello, and welcome to Monash College Virtual Classroom Demonstration. I'm Janine Chase, and the Head of Studies of the Foundation Year program at the college. I'm really pleased you're able to join us today and get a first-hand look at how our virtual classroom operates. While international borders remain closed, providing a high-quality education for all of our students remains our priority. And we are delivering this through blended online virtual classroom and face-to-face pathway programs. It is our commitment to provide new students starting their studies with us offshore with the opportunity of a guaranteed pathway into Monash University without slowing down their education journey. The Foundation Year program enables students to gain direct entry into the first year of our undergraduate degree in any of the Monash University's 10 faculties upon completing the program and meeting the relevant entry requirements. Our online environment is built on the same approach we use in our face-to-face classes. The same teachers, the same curriculum, the same support. In fact, we've actually strengthened our support model so that students receive tailored individual support from experienced teachers who can help them with specific concerns. We also have learning skills advisors, counsellors and student engagement specialists, all dedicated to supporting and encouraging our students. In today's virtual classroom taster session, one of our Foundation Year teachers, Anthony Ruberto, will be taking you through an introduction to mathematical modelling. And you'll be hearing from a Foundation Year student, Vate, as she shares her experiences in the virtual classroom. We'll also talk about the support services available to students to make sure you have the best possible experience with the college. Our team has one goal in mind: to give you a fantastic learning experience that sets you up for your undergraduate studies. I'm going to hand it over to Anthony, and I look forward to you joining us in the Monash College virtual classroom and then face-to-face on the campus once the restrictions are lifted. Anthony, over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy that you're all here, that I can demonstrate a bit of a short lesson to you on the topic of mathematical modelling. But I am one of the Foundation Year teachers here at Monash College. I teach a variety of mathematics subjects, and as I said, the purpose of today is to just give you a short idea about what it's actually like to study in a virtual classroom like this. And just demonstrate a little bit to you about what this is really all about. As you know, the topic today is going to be mathematical modelling. And before I get into any mathematics whatsoever, I want to just sort of get your opinions on how you feel and what you think about when you actually hear the words mathematical modelling. So you'll see on your screen at the moment, you'll see a question: what do you think of when you hear the words mathematical modelling? And just above that, you will see a website that says menti.com and a code. All I want you to do is, on your phone or your computer, whatever you have, go to that website, type in that code, and I want you to answer that question. What we'll see is all of your responses come up here. And then, yeah, I'm really interested to see what you think of the words mathematical modelling. Anything at all that you can think of. And this is a great way to sort of check your understanding. This is gathering your opinions, equations, yes, formulas, numbers, algebra, That is all related to mathematical modeling. What else do we have? Numbers and figures. Absolutely. Formulas, graphs and charts. Computing, absolutely. And in fact, these days, mathematical modeling is very much based on computers, using software to forecast. Oh, there's some really great ones in here. Projecting, so yeah, predicting things from some information that we might be given. So that would be projecting. Concepts, so like testing ideas, using software to forecast, absolutely. That's what I was saying before. A lot of modeling these days is based on computers. Variables, trigonometry, graphs and charts, system. It's moving so fast, I can't even see it all. This is great. Statistics, really good. So we'll get a few more in. Model your data. Yep, absolutely. Mathematical modeling is, of course, heavily referenced on data as well, because, you know, usually you're using your data to form a question or find answers to a question, and you're using the models to predict something from that data. Yeah. So I hope you're reading all of these with me as well, because there's lots of good ones here. Finding specific answers. Yep. I'm going to use that last point that I just read, finding specific answers, amongst all the others here, to connect to what I actually want to show you today in terms of this mathematical modeling lesson. So I'm going to share my screen back to the notes that I want to share with you. And you should be able to see what I'm sharing with you right now. And there we go. The main topic that I want to cover in this taster session is a type of mathematical modeling called linear programming. Some of you may have seen it before, some of you may have never seen it before. The point is that this is just going to be a little bit of an introduction to it, 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes maximum. So linear programming is a topic that we cover in one of our math subjects here. And it's a topic that takes about 3 weeks that we spend on. But of course, we're only spending 10 minutes here. So we'll see how much we can do. But nevertheless, linear programming is a very, very useful topic. But I'll show you in the context of a problem that I'm going to provide to you. And I want you to think about what you might do, how you might try to solve this sort of problem. So I'm going to give you a scenario. Imagine that you work for some company. You could work for a finance company, and you've been given a job to allocate some money, to invest some money on behalf of, it could be on behalf of a client, it could be on behalf of the company you work for. But the point is, you have a certain amount of money and you are asked to invest this money in shares and some gold. And you might say, okay, sure. But normally you need instructions, right? That's exactly what we have to apply to this situation. So you might have a list of instructions from your employer and you have to follow them. Here's the first instruction. The value of the shares cannot be more than 3 times the value of the gold. Okay. Second instruction. The value of the shares must still be more than or equal to the value of the gold. Next instruction. You must buy both shares and gold. So amongst all of this information, we have to figure out, find the exact answer. How many of each do we buy? Considering that we have shares that are known to increase by 10% in this example, and gold, which is known to also increase by 16%. Now, without any mathematical modeling techniques, we really have no idea even where to start with this question. I mean, you can guess, but that's not going to get you anywhere. In problem here, we want to use our knowledge of mathematical modeling, in particular linear programming, to help us find this result. So the aim of linear programming is that we can use it to find the maximum amount of something or the minimum amount of something. In this case, it's going to be the maximum amount of something. You know, what is the maximum we can buy of anything? But in linear programming, we have these things called constraints. These are the things that I just listed before, the instructions that we have to follow. And like everything, there are instructions to follow. There are rules that we have to stick to. You know, we don't have an infinite amount of money. We have only a limited amount. So we're really trying to do the best thing we can while still following those instructions. Other examples of constraints for any particular question, you might have a factory that can only produce a certain number of products each hour. That's a very realistic example, right? A factory cannot produce an infinite number of things. We have to stick within the constraints. Another example is just like what we saw before. You only have a limited amount of money to invest in. So we want to find the best case scenario for this. The method that I'll show you is very common in business, finance, and engineering. And again, it's something we spend about 3 weeks or more within one of the math subjects that we do. Just going to take my headphones off. Maybe it will be a little bit clearer. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Nevertheless, how can we actually solve this problem that I presented before? So the problem involves, or any linear programming problem involves 3 separate steps that we have to follow. Something called the decision variables, something called the constraints, which we've already looked at, and then the objective function as well. I'll talk about each one. The first step here is pretty practical and pretty logical. How are we going to measure and model this? What are we going to name X? What are we going to name Y? They are the most common naming conventions in mathematics, X and Y, but it works in this case. The second thing we want to consider is what are the inequations we're going to graph? So, you know, what are we actually graphing? What are the formulas? What are the equations we're graphing? The last part to consider is this thing called the objective function. And this is what is going to give you the final answer. And it's usually represented by profit or cost. In this case, it's profit. We're trying to find the maximum profit. Now, back to the actual problem. I'll put all of this information together. The first thing that we had to look at was we have a maximum of $100,000 to invest in shares and gold. Well, what did we call shares? What did we call gold? We called shares X, or we can, I'll say now, we can call shares X and gold can be Y. So I'll write that down here. Now we want to relate those to the value that we have to invest. X and Y must be less than or equal to 100,000. That's what this means here. We have a maximum of 100,000. So if we add together the gold, the value of the shares, if we add together the value of the gold, all of it has to be less than 100,000. The second constraint, and remember the constraints are the instructions here. The value of the shares must be less than or equal to 3 times the value of the gold. Well, let's just rewrite that in terms of the mathematics that we know. So I'm going to say shares. Shares was X. Yep. Less than or equal to. That's that symbol. 3 is 3. Value of the gold. Gold is Y. So now all of a sudden, I have a new or another constraint to actually graph. X is less than or equal to 3y. Moving on to the next constraint. The value of the shares must be greater than or equal to the value of the gold. So again, let's repeat what we did. Shares is equal to X, greater than or equal to, that's greater than, gold was Y. So we have our next constraint. X must be bigger than or equal to Y. We've almost got everything to graph, but we've also have to stick to the constraint. We must buy both shares and gold. So the way that we can visualize this is that shares X must be bigger than 0. Gold Y must also be bigger than 0. These two things. So in total, we have 5 constraints that we're going to have to put on our graph, that we're going to have to graph. There's one last thing. And if we go back to the other page, you'll remember that it was our objective function. This was the component that allowed us to find the final answer. And the objective component is related to the value. The shares increase by 10% and the gold increases by 16%. So we can write that as a function as well. Now, I'll pause there for a second. Within this question, it's actually covered quite a lot of information. But I'll remind you, this is just a taster of 10 minutes. We would actually, in this particular math subject, we would actually, space this out over quite a long period of time. So you can actually build up the knowledge to actually do this at the speed that I'm doing it. So yeah, take that into consideration as you're thinking about this while we go through the problem. So back to the main part of the question, what value of the shares and the gold do we purchase to get the largest profit? So putting all of this together, all of these equations here, if we are to move ahead and graph this, it ends up looking like this. And once again, in this, for a time of 10 minutes, I'm going to just present the graph to you, but of course in the subject, we spend time actually, graphing this ourselves and figuring out and understanding why it actually looks like this. But the most distinctive feature of this graph that I've got here is the fact that all of this here is colored in. And what this represents are the possible solutions to our problem. So if we've got a graph like this, I can look at it and I can say, one of our solutions is there. I don't need to guess anything. But there's another mathematical rule here that says the best solution, all right, best here, is going to be either this point, or, well, not really this point because this is actually the point 0, 0, but it will be one of the corner points of the shape. Okay, we can probably rule this one out because that's 0, 0, but one of these other ones are going to be the best solutions. So of all of these possible, all these possible different solutions here, we've narrowed it down to these points B and C, which were, I have here, B is the coordinate 50,000, 50,000, C is 75,000, 25,000. And that represents, if you remember from before, X and Y. X are the shares, Y are the gold. So we just have to choose which one is the best. But how do we know which one is the best? This is where we test that last step. And that last step was using the objective function. The objective function was our equation for the profit, like this one. So to test one of our points here, all I'm going to do is substitute my preferred point, let's say point B first. X is 50,000, Y is 50,000. That's where we're putting it in, right there. And find out what my profit will be if I purchase 50,000 of this and 50,000 of that. Turns out the profit is $13,000. So fair enough. Is that good? Is that bad? We don't know. We have to check against the other point. So I'll take a point C and substitute as well. Do the same thing. 75,000 is X. 25,000 is Y from over here. X and Y. And what that ends up equaling is a profit of $11,500. So both of these are profit, and that's great. But if you had a choice between these two, it would be pretty clear that you would be choosing this coordinate, 50,000, 50,000, point B. And you're choosing it because it's giving you the largest profit. So all of this comes down to the fact that we're deciding now that we must purchase for the best possible outcome. We must purchase 50,000 shares, or a value of 50,000, and $50,000 worth of gold. And that will give us the best return based on all of these constraints. So this is just, one example of a very, very large topic of linear programming, a very, very large topic of mathematical modeling. Again, we spend weeks studying this sort of thing, and in other math subjects, we do a variety of different mathematical modeling as well. So it's very, very useful to have a knowledge in this kind of problem solving. So I think it's very, very interesting and rewarding to understand some of these things. So I think in terms of the maths that I'm going to do for you today, I think my time is just about up for talking about maths. But in our next part of this taster class, we actually are going to hear from one of my current students, and also I taught her last semester as well. She's in my maths class, and in fact she studied the topic that I just showed you. So Vitae is going to take over and talk a little bit about the experiences that she's had over this year so far in our virtual classroom. And Vitae, are you there? There you are.
Thank you, Anthony. And hello, everyone. My name is Vitae. I come from Cambodia. So it means right now I'm still offshore and I'm still doing my foundation year online. I finished my Unit 1 last semester and I started my Unit 2, this July, like a week ago. So I am here to share my virtual classroom experience with you all. So this is my fundamental math class in the last semester. And there are also many benefits that I receive from learning online. Firstly, it's about flexibility. By flexibility, I mean that students can learn from their own homes and at their own study pace as well. And we also have extra time to do self-study. In class, the teachers can demonstrate their lesson by screen sharing and as well as their questions. So the students can annotate on the screen to answer the questions that the teachers gave out. Thirdly, it's about consultation times. These are extra times that Monash College provided to every student. So you can have a one-to-one talk with your teacher for him to clarify any lessons or any exercise that you don't really understand, or ask for feedbacks, as well as any area that you want improvements. And during lessons, every student, we are divided into breakout rooms, into in groups, and that is the opportunity for every student to interact with each other and communicate together as well. Teachers in MAFI, they're really supportive, and they will always be there to assist the students if they have any issues with the lessons, or you might need any help. So don't hesitate. You always have to contact your teacher if you have any issues. Last but not least, it's about Moodle platform. This is an online learning platform that I find really useful and essential because there are many information and resources that you can find relating to your course. As well as in Moodle, there are a lot of quizzes. So these quizzes, I can say, are like revisions that revise back to your lessons as well. So the next topic is about group assignments. In English, we have many group assignments, including debate and group presentation. So to meet up with my classmates and my teammates in order to finish our project, we used Zoom. We met up with Zoom like 3 times a week. And this video presentation that I'm using is, I used iMovie to create this video. From the group assessment, I have learned how to cooperate with other students to achieve our goals and to meet the deadline, so you are not submitting your assignments late. And it also improved my communication skills because we are all from different countries and we speak different languages, so we use English to talk. Not only studies, but Monash College also offered many social activities as well. As you can see here, there are also cooking club, miscellaneous club, cultural exchange club, and as well as game club. I've been to 2 of the clubs before. They are cooking club and cultural exchange club. It was really fun back then when I got to go to this club because I got to learn about different cultures and made friends with students from all over the world. And yesterday I went to public speaking club. It also increased my confidence as well. And for cultural exchange club, you got to share your own culture with your new friends as well as the club members. Making friends. I know that making friends online is a really tough thing to do because some, people have anxiety and we are shy to communicate, but it's also interesting and fun because, you're not together physically. So me and my friends, this is a picture of us. We hang out through Zoom's meeting after class to talk about our life and share about our experiences in class. We play games together and discuss about the lessons because we all take different subjects. Making friends boosted my confidence a lot. It's also reduced my stress and helped me to cope with my loneliness because, in college, there are a lot of works to finish. So my university degree in Monash is Bachelor of Nursing, and thanks to Muffy has helped me a lot in different areas. Improved my communication skills because I get to talk to different people from different regions. I know how to work effectively in a group and manage my study time. As you know, study time, knowing how to manage your study time is really crucial because, so you can meet like the deadline for every subject and you're not late as well. And it also consolidates my learning in different subjects like math, English, and biology. Last but not least, I know how to create my own works and avoid plagiarism. So in the future, I plan to become a registered nurse. Thank you. I'll return this back to Anthony.
All right, thank you so much, Pate. We're just about finished for our presentations today in this taster class, but the last thing that I'm going to just sort of talk about and go over a little bit are our student support services that we have here at Monash College. These support services are various. We have many of them, and you can see here that they include things like student engagement, we have academic support, we have careers advisors, we have counsellors, we have student welfare support, and we also have weekly drop-in sessions. So the aim for this is that, your teachers support you academically, your teachers support you in various ways too, but outside of all of that, we have to make sure that your overall well-being is good, that you're managing, you have your time management to complete all the work, that you're up to date with things like that. You're also on track to get the required results within foundation year so you can get into your destination degree. So our careers advisors are fantastic at making sure that you're on the right path for your destination degree. The academic support, likewise, helps you with all sorts of variety of, referencing how to write the best essays. They run these sessions outside of class time. So you get not just the time in the class, but you have support outside of the classes as well. Before we finish up today, make sure that you if you want to know more about diplomas, foundation year, or any of the English programs that we offer, please visit the website that you can see here on the screen. Any questions that you might have from today, about what you've seen. Please send those questions to the email that you can see up here. And on top of that, if you want to know more about the virtual classroom, you'll see that there is a QR code right on the screen. So please scan that, get that into your phone, and then, you know, you've already got that ready to go. So therefore, this is very convenient, the QR code. But importantly, any of the social media handles here, please follow us on there, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Search for us through all of those avenues. And I hope that this has given you a bit more of an idea about what this virtual classroom is all about. So yeah, any questions, please submit it to the marketing at Monash College, scan the QR code. And I want to thank Vitae for presenting here, and also Janine as well for welcoming everybody. That's it from me for today. So I hope that you have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you later on here in our virtual classrooms in the future. Thank you very much.